We're going to continue to look at visual schedules for a bit. I wanted to kind of, before I move on, remind you of some of the important things. And I know I talked about this when I talked about object schedules, but it's just the same for when we're talking about any other kind of schedule, and it has to do with involving the individual in the schedule setup and the schedule use. It's their schedule. So again, you saw in the video clips, having individuals participate in either putting the symbols in place, having them participate in listening to you say, first we're going to, and then finding the right symbol and putting it in their schedule, having individuals come back to the schedule at every transition, remove the symbol for the thing that's finished, always reviewing what the rest of the schedule is. You saw Jamie's mom, I prompted at the grocery store. Okay, so when you take off car is finished. Now read through the schedule again, because every transition point is an opportunity to review that schedule and remind what's going to happen. So there are lots of different things that you can do, but you want to make sure that the person's participating in the setup and then coming back and participating in that transition routine, whatever the routine is. Flipping a picture over, removing a picture and putting it in a finished box, check marking something off a list, whatever it is that you're doing, that they're paying attention to that, okay? A few of the other things that you can do around sort of behavior support and your visual schedules. So just showing what's happening is sometimes sufficient, but not always. Right? One of the things that we all have in our schedules is not just what we're going to do, but when we're going to do things. And so we can add timepieces, images of clock faces, to show when activities are going to occur. So I can have a little clock face that shows 9 o'clock, followed by the symbol of what happens at 9 o'clock. Clock face of 9:30, showing what happens at 9:30, so that individuals can do that. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. Scheduling highly preferred activities after less preferred activities. So, right, you have to put away the dishes, but then you can have TV time. You have to do this task, your homework, but then you can go ride your bike, right? So the same kind of things that we often do, like if you're a parent with kids anyway, first do this, then you can that. And the same kind of things that we tell ourselves, right? Sit till 3:30, and then there's that wine on the way home, right? Not that you're drinking it on the way home, you're picking it up on the way home, right? Right, okay, good. But we do first then all the time. I have to do this, and then I can have that. So sometimes in visual schedules, I might have less preferred, more preferred, less preferred, more preferred, less preferred, more preferred. So like every other activity is highly preferred because I need that much to keep a person going. And then eventually it's like, less preferred, more preferred. Less preferred, more preferred. And then eventually, right, it's like lots of less preferred. That's how school often goes. You have to like do a whole bunch of stuff, and then it's recess, and then you do a whole bunch more stuff, and then you get to go home. That kind, right? So you like little bits, and then you gradually increase the expectations. And that's what we do too. Do a little bit of work, and then you get some fun. Do a little bit more work a little bit longer, then you get some, and then one day you're an adult and it's, like work, and eventually something gets deposited into your bank account that maybe you get to use, maybe kind of for fun, but most of it doesn't go for fun. It pays for you to have a roof. Right? But that idea. So providing information and knowing that your schedule, especially initially, if you've got kids who are kind of escape motivated, they engage in problem behavior to get out of stuff that they don't like doing, then your visual schedule should have lots of fun stuff in it. Do something that you don't like for a little bit, and then you get to do something you do like. Do something else that you don't like for a little bit, and then you get something that you do like, okay? We can also provide opportunities for people to make choices in setting up their schedule. So I might have 3 things that I'm gonna set up in the schedule, and you have to do first, second, third, and then I'm gonna offer up 2 options, and then you choose what you wanna do after that. Right? So we can also get people making choices. That's another really common approach that we'll use when we're addressing problem behavior, because a lot of times if you think about the individuals we're supporting, and particularly as individuals get older, older people with developmental disabilities, we tend often to treat them as though they're children, which is not what we should be doing, right? And often we have adults, nobody ever lets them make a choice. Now imagine if you had somebody following you around all day, telling you when you were doing stuff, who you were doing it with, how you had to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you never actually really got any choice about your day, how long do you think that you'd put up with that? Not very, right? And so at the very least, you know, there are some things that you have to do. Everybody has to do some things, right? Like, you know, you have to have a shower and you have to clean up your stuff and, you know, like there are some have-tos. But then we can also provide opportunities for choice. So I'm gonna tell you, here are a couple of things that we have to do first. And then instead of me deciding, you know, what the fun activity will be, I'll offer up some fun activities and you can decide what you want to choose, right? And then coming back to your question about people, just like with timepieces, so here's an example of having timepieces in a schedule. So here's a clock face with the digital time and activities, and this is in a school pocket chart schedule. But you could also have pictures of the individual staff people that show. So if you've got different staff people across the day, you could have the picture of the staff person followed by the activities that staff person will be there for, or if it's which staff on Monday versus Tuesday versus Wednesday, you can do a weekly or a monthly calendar to show that kind of stuff. It does depend on the individual. Here are a few things that I would consider trying. So one, we have a staff schedule, so I'd set up, here's what the staff schedule is for this week. If somebody calls in, I've got a little story. So the little twin girls, doesn't have to do with an oops people, but it has to do with an oops. When they first started scheduling, Mom took one of the girls, so they were going out into the community and basically practicing having the girls do what they were supposed to do without problem behavior. And so Mom went out with one daughter, Saturday morning chores, and then the daughter had a choice of what reinforcing activity she wanted. She picked donut, so that was in the schedule. So they did all the chores. They're walking in the mall towards the donut place, and Mom saw it before the kid did, but they kind of got to where the donut place was supposed to be, and the metal gates were closed across it. It was closed. And, you know, she freaked out, and it was all very upsetting. And so, well, what are we gonna do to address this in the future? So we decided, then we're using those little pocket, slide pocket schedules. We decided at the very bottom of the page, away from everything else, we'd have the oops symbol, and it looks like a little face that goes like that. And in behind the oops symbol, we had symbols for ice cream cone and French fries because there is always a McDonald's open 24 hours somewhere, right? Both highly preferred items. So we kept those in behind. And then basically what Mom did to sort of teach the child, she set her up. We're gonna kind of plan this. I know that if I offer donut in a different choice, she's gonna choose donut. I'm gonna make sure that we go at a time when the donut store is closed, and we're gonna replay this whole event, right? So they did. And of course, because she now had the experience of approaching the donut place and the gates and it being closed, she actually started to like whinge a bit before she even got close enough to see that it was closed. But as soon as it was obvious, oh, it's closed, Mom went, oops, let's look at your schedule. Oh, look, there are two options. This is closed, X, we can't do that. Here, which one do you want? And taught her that we could replace. So you could do that. So, oh, someone's sick, let's put them on the sick picture. Here's who's coming in instead. Or you could use a surprise. You could make it as part of the morning routine, like a surprise. We're gonna see who's the surprise for today, right? It depends on kind of who the individual is and what's gonna work best in terms of giving them information, and as much information as you can, right? But that is always the thing. You know, sometimes we have a plan and then the plan has to change because, right, something happened. Teaching individuals how to sort of deal with oops, and having a couple of highly reinforcing, highly preferred backup plans, right, are always a good idea, right? So those are the kinds of things to think about around that, okay?